is surface area? So at the moment, I just want to know, like, what does it mean if we're looking for surface area of a shape? Oh, Wami, can you help me? So just unmute from your side, sweetheart. There should have been like a notification that popped up. Yeah, I'm going to move on to Iman. Otherwise, we just have this like dead silence.
Hope you are me.
Iman, do you think you can help us out?
Ma'am, I think surface is the outside of the 3D shape.
Good, good. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's perfect. Okay, so surface area is the outside of a 3D shape. Okay, so what do we mean by that? Like if you wanted to wrap a present, so if like you wanted to wrap up a box or something, all of the wrapping paper that would need to cover that box, that would be your surface area. Okay. Like if we have a look at this, so this is a 3D shape. This would be called a cylinder. If I wanted to know the surface area of the cylinder, it would be this area, plus this area, plus this whole curved area. All of that would be added up to create our surface area. So if I'm talking about areas of my different shapes, what do you think my units would be? So do you think they would be squared? Do you think they would be cubed? Do you think they would be single? What do you think my units would be when we're dealing with the surface area? Squared. Yeah, excellent, guys. Nice job. Well done for coming into the chat there. When we're talking about surface area, our units are definitely going to be squared. And the reason it's squared is because we're actually just adding together the different areas. And areas is always going to be a squared unit. Okay, so when I mean squared units, I mean things like centimeters squared, millimeters squared, meters squared, all of those are squared units. Okay, so when we're talking about surface area, we're talking about the outside of our shape, and our units are always going to be squared. Okay, next one, we are going to look at volume. So volume is actually what we're going to be talking about today. When we're looking at volume, what are we looking at? Shaden, what are we looking at when we're looking at volume?
Oh, Shaban, ma'am. I was gonna ask you something.
No, it's okay. You can ask your question. No, don't panic.
Ma'am, so basically today we learned about basically not the first time, but we were doing something that is with the 3 shapes and stuff. And said that the units is squared, right? And today our sir told us it's a 3D shape, something like that.
Yeah. So when we're dealing with
and
volume,
that's what I wanted to ask, ma'am.
Yeah. No,
isn't it supposed to be 3D shape?
Yes,
I mean,
you're absolutely on the right track here.
Cube.
Don't panic. When we, sorry, I'm just going to mute you here just because there's like a little bit of back sound coming from that side. You're absolutely right. When we have a 3D shape and our units, when we're looking at volume, then our units are definitely going to be cubed because we're looking at something times something times something. So there's 3 things that we're multiplying, which is why our units would be cubed. The only reason that surface area is actually a squared unit and not a cubed unit is because you can always break surface area up into something called a net. So for example, if you had a cube, if you broke your cube up, like if we cut, like if you imagined cutting into a box and you laid it out flat, right? You would get something like what I've drawn there, which would be like the net of a cube. Okay, so this would be the net of a cube. And so when we're working out surface area, we're actually just adding all of those areas together. And when we're looking at a net, it's kind of like a 2D shape. And that's why we're dealing with things that are squared. But when we're dealing with a 3D shape of looking at volume, so we're looking at what's going to go inside that, then that's definitely going to be a cubic unit. So I hope that that answered that question. There was like a little bit of like a weird sound coming from your side. So I'm worried I didn't get all of it, but I'm hoping I answered some. Kira, absolutely. Volume is the amount that a 3-dimensional shape So it's the volume. It's like what can fit inside the shape. So our surface area is the outside and our volume is the inside. So it's what can fit inside, what can fit inside our shape. Okay. Now with volume, our units, like I was just explaining now, our units are going to be cubed. Okay, and the reason they're going to be cubed is because we're multiplying 3 different ones together. So what I mean by cubed is centimeters cubed, millimeters cubed, meters cubed, all of those are cubed. Okay, so when we're dealing with volume, it's going to be cubed. Okay, exactly the amount of space that a solid can take up. So anything like if we're looking at this tissue box over here, what is the space inside this tissue box? Like if I wanted to work out how many tissues I could fit inside the tissue box, I care about the volume of this. Okay. Okay. One other thing that I wanted to talk about in volume, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later. So I don't want you to stress about it too much, but there are sometimes conversions that we have to know. So when we're dealing with volume, often we're dealing with millimeters and centimeters and all of that, but sometimes we also have to think about milliliters and liters. So actually moving things from being like centimeters and millimeters into milliliters and liters. And we're going to be talking about that, like moving from one to the other today as well. Maybe tomorrow, we'll see how our time is. Okay, when we're dealing with volume, this is the set formula. So I know for each shape, we're going to learn different formulas, but there is actually one set formula to work out the volume of any type of prism. And I mean any prism, like a triangular prism, a rectangular prism, a cylinder. There's one formula that we can use to figure out the volume for all of them. Does anyone know what that magical one formula is? Okay. Yes, so you're actually on the right track, Kira, with what you're saying. We just need to be a little bit more careful with how we're writing it. But it's definitely on the right track over there. So when we're talking about our volume, so a volume of any prism, it's the area of the base times the height of the shape. So if we can figure out what the area of our base is, and we can see what the height of our shape is, we can figure out the volume of any shape that we want to look at. So for example, if we had a cylinder, let's just quickly draw a cylinder. This would be my base, and this would be my height. So if we can work out the area of that base, we can times it by our height. If we had a rectangular prism, okay, then there are lots of different bases we could use, but let's say we used that base over there. That would be my base, and then that would be the height of my prism. So whenever we're working out the volume of any type of 3D shape, we can just take the area of the base and we can times it by the height of the shape. Okay. All right. Take a screenshot of this if you'd like. We're going to jump into some examples after this. So if you want these notes somewhere, just feel free to take one. Yolanda, do you mind helping out Renee? I think that she is struggling either with seeing the screen or hearing. I'm not too sure.
I'm on it. Renee,
Thank
please
you.
check my private messages.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Singa, did I miss a question here? How can I help?
Ma'am, I just want to like go back a little bit to like the surface area thingy, because now I'm trying to think, ma'am. So it says, ma'am, it's the surface area. What? Oh, ma'am, volume, ma'am. It says that volume is the amount of space that the amount of a three-dimensional space occupied by an object, ma'am. Is it only 3D, ma'am?
Yeah, so it has to be 3D in order to have a volume. Like if I take, let me take something that's flat here. Here's a flat piece of paper, right? You see how it's flat?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is a two-dimensional shape. I can't figure out what the volume is of this because I can't get anything inside it because it's flat. And because it's
Yeah, ma'am.
flat, I can't figure out its volume.
Oh,
But as
okay.
soon as something becomes 3D, then there's the space on the inside. And if there's a space on the inside, then I can figure out its volume.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So the thing is, okay, when we're doing volume, it's always going to be 3D shapes. And when we're doing surface area, we can move it into a 2D shape. So we can make a net out of it to figure out its surface area, but it is still a 3D shape. But when we're working out surface area, because we're just adding together the different areas, that's why our units are squared. And when we're doing volume, we're doing this times this times this. So we're 3 timesing, and that's why it's going to be cubed. Okay. So today we're going to talk about rectangular prisms. So we're talking about a cube today and just a rectangular prism. We can actually use the same formula for both, but we're going to chat about some different things here. So Marcus, what you're saying there is 100% right. Okay. And that's what we're looking at with this first shape over here. So this first one is a cube. Now, when something is a cube, we know that that means that all of our sides are the same as each other. So like this side is the same as this side, which is the same as that side, which is the same as this side, which is the same as this side. All of our sides are the same. Okay. So when we're dealing with a cube, we don't generally use length and breadth and width and height. You can, but we normally just use an S for side. Okay. So that S over there stands for side, because all of my sides are the same as each other. So exactly what Marcus is saying over there. If we wanted to work out the base of that shape, the base of our shape here, I'm just going to write some notes over here. Okay. The base of our cube is a square. And if we wanted to work out the area of a square, we know that the area of a square is side times side, or side squared. Okay. And our height over here, that's our height, is also an S. So if we're wanting to work out the volume of our cube, it's just going to be side times side, that's our base, times side, which is our height. And another way of writing that is just to say it as side cubed. So we can write it as side times side times side, or we can write it as side cubed. So when we're working out the volume of a cube, it's just going to be our volume is equal to side cubed. Does anyone have any questions about that cube before we move on to the rectangular prism? That's okay, Lolita. Can you try and explain where you're getting confused? I'll keep a lookout for your messages in the comments while I talk through the next one. Yeah, Shaden, how can I help?
Okay, so ma'am, I'm just trying to understand your quickly.
Sure.
So basically, when looking for the volume of the cube, all you have to do is say volume equals to side cube.
Yes.
Unless there is other stuff.
No,
Will
there could be a whole bunch of other stuff, but if we want the volume, we just care about side cubed.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
No problem. Okay, so the reason I don't use 4 sides is because when we're looking at volume, we always take, so let's just pop back up here, okay? Whenever we're looking at volume, we always look at the area of the base and we times it by the height of our shape, every time. So whenever we want the volume of any shape, we always take the area of the base, so like in this example, that would be that circle, and we times it by the height of our shape, okay? So when we're looking at this cube, now in this cube, the area of my base is side times side. That's that pink part at the bottom that I've highlighted. That's the area of my base, side times side, okay? And we know that because we know that if we wanted to work out the area of a square, we would say the area is equal to side times side. And then we're just multiplying it by the height of our shape. So the height of my shape is also side because it's a cube. So we have side times side, which is our base, times side, which is our height. And so that just leads us into s cubed, just a different way of writing it. Yes, we're definitely going to do the surface area, but for these shapes, we're going to do the surface area on Thursday. Namaza, how can I help?
Sorry, ma'am. For the cube, I'm not sure if the question applies, but like at my school, they normally try and trick us where they say it's a cube, right? And then we need to calculate for the volume, and then they give us like one side which is not like equal to like the rest of everything else.
Okay,
so how would side cubed work?
If they're giving you something where the sides aren't equal to each other, then they can't call it a cube, because then it's not a cube. So if they're using the word cube, then the sides all have to be the same as each other.
Life.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
No problem. So no, just for the question that came in the direct message, we're not adding the sides, we're multiplying the sides. So we're saying side times side times side. Okay. All right, then we have our rectangular prism. Now it's a very similar idea. So I think I think it'll start sort of sinking in with what we've just spoken about now. Okay. Again, we're going to stick to the same idea. We're going to work out the area of our base and we're going to times it by our height. Okay. Now, when we're working with a rectangle, okay, so if we have a rectangle, if we wanted to find the area of a rectangle, we normally say length times breadth or length times width. Doesn't matter which ones they are, okay? So a card that's not a 5, it's an S. That's why I wrote this over here. It's S for side. So in this case, we have our length, we have our width, and then this would be the height of our shape over here. Okay, so if I wanted to find the volume over here, my volume would be my length times my width, or my length times my breadth, depending on how you've learned it in class. Okay, that's the area of the base. And then we're timesing it by the height of the shape. So some of you may have learned it as L times B times H. But if you just think about it as the area of my base times the height, you will always, always, always be fine. Because then you don't need to learn all the different formulas. You just need to know that you can find, if you can find the area of your base and you know the height of your shape, you're fine. Okay. So Namaza, if you were in a situation where the sides were not the same length as each other, then it's actually a rectangular prism and not a cube. Oshapeng, how can I help?
Good afternoon.
That's okay.
Ma'am, for the first one, for cube, is that answer S3 or
Yes.
5-3?
S cubed, side cubed.
Okay. How did you get that cube, ma'am? That 3?
Because I've got 3 of them over here. I've got one side times another side times another side. So because there's 3 of them, that's the same as saying side cubed.
Oh.
Okay.
Thanks.
No problem. Lalita, you aren't able to unmute yourself. So if you put your hand up, then I can unmute you and then you can ask whatever question you like it. Okay, if you want to take a picture of this, you can take a picture and then we're going to jump into some examples. And I think as soon as you see the examples, you'll see that they're actually really nice and easy.
Yep, my pebs. It's a warm-up. Take screenshots. It's time to shine. It's a warm-up, my pebs. Don't worry. It will become easy.
I promise as soon as you start using it in practice, you're like, oh, it's fine. Okay, cool. So let's have a look at this first one. All right. So we're trying to find the volume of the shape. Think about it. Oh, sorry, Kira. Phew. I thought I'd waited here long enough. Are we all good? Okay. Okay. So if we're trying to find the volume here, I'm just going to keep on writing this formula until it sort of like sinks into your mind. Okay. Whenever we're working out volume, we're working out the area of the base times the height of the shape. Okay. All right. So if we're having a look over here, this would be the area of my base, and this would be the height of my shape. Okay. Yes, there is class for grade 10 maths. There's class all the way up to matric maths. Okay, so if we were working out our volume here, all we would say is our volume is, if we're looking at the area of our base, it's going to be 6 times 2. Okay, that's our area of our base. And then we're going to times it by the height of our shape, which is 8. So the area of our base times the height of our shape. So we're going to have 6 times 2 times 8. Okay. So then we can just, at this point, we can just chuck that straight into our calculator exactly like that. So we can just say 6 times 2 times 8, and we would get a total of 96. And now we need to be very careful, okay? Because we need to think about what units we're dealing with over here. So we're going to say centimeters, and we're dealing with volume, which means our units are going to be cubed. So we're going to say cubed. Okay. So now in this case, we can't say side times side times side, because that's meaning that all of my sides are the same as each other. And they're not all the same as each other. They're different because it's not a cube. And that's why we need to be careful with what we're writing. So this is our first example of what this looks like. This would be a rectangular prism. Okay, for anyone who wanted to know, this is a rectangular prism. And the reason it's a rectangular prism and not a cube is because these values are different to each other. Okay. I'm happy to take questions, and then I'm going to give you guys one to try by yourselves. All right, Bonolo, how can I help?
Hello,
Hi,
how are you, ma'am?
I'm well, thanks, and yourself.
I'm fine, ma'am. I'm confused. Why didn't you add but you multiplied?
Why didn't I add what?
Why didn't you add the volume?
Why didn't I add the volume?
Must you add or multiply?
We always multiply with volume.
Okay.
Okay. Tandoshishi, how can I help?
Hey ma'am.
Hi.
So the area of X space is 6 times 2, and then the height of shape is 8.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, thank you, ma'am.
No problem. What's your paying? How can I help?
Ma'am, for this question, are they gonna give us the like a clue, ma'am? Like here you said volume equals area of base times height of shape. Are they gonna give us that formula?
No, you need to know those.
Okay.
Okay.
Ma'am, which topic does this thing fall under?
This is surface area and volume.
Okay.
Okay.
But it's not at our school, ma'am.
So then maybe it might be done through measurements. It might be within that topic.
Okay.
Lolita, how can I help?
Hey ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, I don't understand why it's 96 centimeters cubed.
So the 96 is just coming from multiplying these together. So all we did is we said 6 times 2 times 8, and that gives me that 96.
Yes, ma'am, but I don't understand why it's cubed.
So it's cubed because we've got 1 centimeter here, and then we're timesing it by another centimeter there, and we're timesing it by another centimeter there. So we're timesing the 3 different centimeters together, and that's why we land up with centimeters cubed.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, guys, I will get to those questions there. I'm going to go into the next question so long, just so people can do that. But I promise I'll come and answer those questions at the same time. Okay. I'm just going to pop this on the board for those who are wanting to work through it so long, and then I'll chat to these questioners now. Also, please remember you're welcome to write your questions in the chat. If we don't get to all of them in time, please feel free to put them in the chat, because both Yolanda and I can see that and can help you out. Iman, how can I help?
Hi, ma'am. Ma'am, the first question we made said the area of the base 6 times 2. Must it be both? Or can't we just take one?
No, because the area of a rectangle is length times width. So it needs to be both of them multiplied together.
Oh, but like at the school I thought we only put one.
You mean only one number?
Yes, ma'am.
But then it can't be an area. Then it's just the length of a line.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, I'm seeing some good answers popping here in the chat. Nice, great. I'm liking it a lot. Naledi, how can I help?
Ma'am, I wanted to answer the question.
Oh, you're welcome to answer the question. I'm happy to have an answer. How would I go about doing this question?
Ma'am, I said volume equals area of base times height of shape.
Beautiful.
And then I said volume equals to 4 cubed.
Beautiful. And why do we know it's going to be 4 cubed?
Ma'am, because we're timesing all the sides, 3 sides by 4.
Good. And they told us over here that it was a cube. And so they're telling us that all of those sides are the same as each other. Excellent. Okay. So what is my final answer here? Volume is equal to?
64 centimeters cubed.
Perfect. Nice job. 100%. 100%. Okay. Are we feeling happy with the 64%? Of 64%, 64 centimeters cubed? Let me know, and then we'll go quickly down to a brain break, and then we'll keep on going with some of these. Oh no, what's the thing? Why? Tell me what's wrong. What's happening?
Ma'am, why did you say you just put it 1 4 and then you didn't write those things to indicate that the triangles are equal, ma'am?
Okay, so in the question, they told us here that it's a cube. And so because it's a cube, it means that all of my sides are the same as each other. So we know that because they told us it's a cube.
Okay.
But if you feel uncomfortable writing it like that, you could write this as steps. You could say side times side times side, which is equal to 4 times 4 times 4. And then our volume is 64 centimeters cubed.
That's what I did, but I just said 4 times s, and then I said volume equals 4 times x plus times s, and then I was stuck.
Okay, so the thing is, as soon as you see in your question that it says that it's a cube, just remember they're the same. All of those sides are the same.
Okay.
Okay. Kieran, how can I help? Oh, Kieran's gone.
Oh no, ma'am.
Hello. Sorry?
I wanted to ask the same question as him.
Okay. Does it make sense now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. Tiraboho, how can I help?
Okay, ma'am, you said because of it's a cube, all the sides are the same, I get.
Yeah.
And then what if it's a rectangular, rectangular
okay, if
prism?
it's a rectangular prism, then it's like this one.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
They're gonna give you the numbers.
Yeah, they either have to give you the numbers, or they have to give you the volume, or they have to say it's a cube.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Cool. Okay, last question, and then brain break time. Last question. Lolita, how can I help?
So when it's a cube, it's your formula is automatically going to be side times side times side.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Because this is a square in here, so that's the same as saying that's the area of my base. And then this side over here, that's the height of my shape. And the reason that they're all the same as each other is because it's a cube.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you, ma'am.
No problem. Okay, guys, I think let's quickly take a brain break and then we'll keep on going with these. I think with some more examples, you'll feel more comfortable, so don't panic just yet. We're going to jump quickly to give our brains a little bit of space. Only have one question today. It's a maths one. But I think I'm curious to see who figures it out. I'll put it like
They were
that.
already panicking. So I hope that is not
Panicking?
difficult.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
because everyone is like, is the brain break gonna be difficult today? Brain break is just something that you have to have fun.
It's just something
about.
silly.
Exactly.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with your bad.
Let's see how this goes. Only one today to tender because you actually have to use your corp a little bit when you work through this one. So I thought it might take us some time. But it's Halloween themed for yesterday. I want to know what that question mark is. And if you have your answers, you're welcome to pop them in the chat. If you're feeling confident with your answer and you want to explain it, just double check with me first. So send a direct message and I'll let you know if you're right. And if you are right, then you can explain it to the class. It is a confusing one.
We can do it. I believe in y'all.
So if you think you have the answer, just double check with me first. I haven't seen the right answer yet. No. I know it's hard. That's why I already have one today. Lots of 12s coming out, but no, 12 is wrong. 19 is wrong. Kira, you can't just give me all the numbers.
Guys, with guesswork, you'll take much way longer to find the answer. That's what happened.
Kira, you're spamming my chat and I'm missing other people's answers. It's okay. Sure, have I cracked you guys? It's taken me the whole year, but I think I may have just made it. I can tell you that it is not a prime number. It is definitely not a prime number.
Yeah, we can do this. Let's go.
The cat does not equal 5. As soon as you figure out the cat, you'll actually be fine. Come on, Kayla, have you figured it out? It's not 4. Okay, I'm gonna have to give you guys a hint because we're not making any progress here. We're getting some weird numbers popping in. Oh, Unati, if you're able to explain how you got it, I'll take it. Your hint here, is that the cat is 6. Your hint is that the cat is 6. Are we still getting these weird numbers, even though I told you the cat is 6? Yes, it is 8. Our final answer is definitely 8. Shoo. What happened here? Yes, you can. Tando Sishi, can you explain?
I'm trying, Nick. I'm trying.
Okay.
So the cat is 6, as you said.
Yeah.
And then the thingy, the
Pumpkin?
soup or whatever it
The
is,
cauldron?
it's 1. And then the, what do you call, whatever the thing is, it's also 1.
1.
Yes, ma'am.
1.
Ma'am, you see now.
This pumpkin, okay, so this pumpkin over here is going to equal 12 because we're going to have the 2 cats next to each other. So the 2 cats are going to equal the pumpkin, which is going to give us 12. And then we're going to have 12 plus 6, which is going to give us our 18. And then we have 6 plus 14, which is 20, and 20 minus 12, which gives us 8. But it was a sneaky one, guys. It was a sneaky one. The key was actually to work with these 2 rows over here and work your way backwards. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to just, in case you ever see something like this again, it's actually quite a cool problem solving thing. Do you see how your pumpkin over here, so everyone just listen super carefully here, because then I promise it'll make sense. This pumpkin over here, right? It's the same as this pumpkin, right? That we know that they're the same number, okay? And we know that the 1 pumpkin is equal to 2 cats. So that means that this pumpkin here is actually equal to 2 cats. So that means that 18 is equal to 3 cats, which means that 1 cat is 6. And once you figure out your cat, then the rest are easy to work out. So this was the key over here. This middle part was the key to figuring out this question. Yeah. Yeah. Quickly, before we jump back up to some maths, I actually just want to talk to everyone while most of you are here. It's just about our boot camp for this Saturday. For all of you who are signed up for the boot camp, you will have received a past paper to go through. It's got a whole bunch of different questions that are all sort of paper 1 questions. It's really important that you do that paper. So you need to try all of them. You need to give it your best go. You've got until Saturday to work through it. Okay, I know it's a lot of marks, but you have lots of time to do it. Because when we meet on Saturday, we're going to go through the questions that the majority of the people found really tough. So those are the ones that we're going to spend time talking about. And then I've written a very detailed memo with explanations for you that you will get after Saturday. So any questions that we don't get a chance to go through together, you will get a memo for all of that. But it's really, really important that you give all of those questions a try before we meet at the boot camp. Okay, so come prepared and you'll get far more from the session than if you don't come prepared. Come with questions. It's from 3 until 4:30 on Saturday. Yeah, Bruce, how can I help?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, so if we paid for the boot camp, right?
Yeah.
And for an example, like we don't have time to join the boot camp, but we've paid for it, can we watch the recording?
Yeah, if you've paid for the boot camp, you can watch the recordings.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
No problem. Okay, so we are going to do some questions over here. No. The question that just came in my direct message, it is from 3 until 4:30. title, I think you can still pay up until the 3rd of November. Okay. Listejo, how can I help?
Ma'am, can I answer this question?
Yes, you absolutely can. I'm going to mute you just for a little bit, just to give everyone a little bit more time to work through it, and then I'll unmute you again, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. All right, guys, so you've got this question up on the board. I am looking for the volume of this rectangular prism. Do your best. Don't panic about it. Let's see how this goes. I'm seeing a whole bunch of answers. Just be careful with your units when you're putting things in the chat. Okay, cool. All right. Listejo, talk me through how you would like me to write this up on the board.
Ma'am, you say volume is equals to side times height.
Oh, can we say side times side times side with this one?
You can just say, ma'am, 17 times 15 times 12.
Yeah. So in this one, we can't say side times side times side because it's not a cube, but we can say length times breadth or width times height. But then your numbers are absolutely right. So your volume is going to be 17 times 15 times 12. So the 17 times 15, that's giving us our base down here. And then the 12 is our height of our shape. Okay, what is our final answer with this one?
3060 millimeters cubed.
Beautiful, nice job. Perfect, perfect. Okay, good. Guys, good progress. Nice. Okay, I see lots of hands, but I think lots of you had your hands up to answer. So if your hands were up to answer, just pop them down for me. And then if they still stay up, then I'll come and deal with the questions that are there. Okay. Okay, Naledi, how can I help?
Hi, ma'am. Ma'am, may you please scroll up back to the previous question? I want to ask something.
Sure.
So ma'am, if the question says answer the questions below, and then they just give you one side without mentioning if it's a cube or not, and they just give you a measurement, does it automatically become a cube?
No, they either have to say it's a cube or they have to show you, like by using these little lines, that they're all the same as each other.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Rodwin, how can I help?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Do we always multiply the sides?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, last one, and then we're going to do something a little bit different, but the same sort of idea. Katiwe, how can I help?
Ma'am, did you say the W is weight?
The W stands for width.
At school, we usually say length times base times height.
It's totally fine to say base or breadth. All of those are totally fine.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. We're going to try a question like this. Now, it's very, very similar. So I don't want you guys to panic, okay? It's just written a little bit backwards. Okay, so we're just going to look at this and then sort of work our way through here. And then I'm going to give you one to try by yourselves. So in this case, they've told us that the volume of this rectangular prism is 45 centimeters cubed. Okay, they've told us that. So the volume is 45 centimeters cubed. And they want us to figure out what X is. Okay, and whenever we're in a situation like this and we need to work backwards, we put our formula there. So our formula is our volume is equal to our length times our width or our base or our breadth, whatever you're wanting to write it as, times our height. Okay. Our volume is 45. We're just putting that information in. Okay. Our length is 3. Our width is 4. And our height is x. So what we land up with is 45 is equal to 12x. Now, if we're wanting to figure out what x is, we're going to just divide both by 12. And we can pop that into our calculator. So 45 divided by 12 gives us 3,75 centimeters. And be careful, my units are going to be centimeters, not centimeters cubed, because it is the length of a line that I'm looking for. Okay. For the direct message that came in, they don't have to tell you what shape it is. They should in most, but they do have to tell you if it's a cube, and they've only given you one side. But if it's like, for example, like this one, for example, they don't have to say it's a rectangular prism because you can see it's not a cube. So most of the time they will say anyway, but the only time it's very necessary is if it's a cube. Sarah Lee, how can I help? Hello? I think your mic might not be working because I can see you unmuted, but I can't hear you. Ochipeng, how can I help?
Ma'am, I wanted to, can I answer the next one?
I think let's just wait till we see there, but because I've heard lots from you today, I just want to sort of share the love out a little bit today.
Okay.
Okay. Shotlejo, how can I help?
Ma'am.
Yeah.
Where did you get 12, ma'am?
The 12 came from taking this 3 times by this 4. That gave me that 12.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Madao, how can I help?
Ma'am, why didn't you cube the units?
So when we're looking for the length of a side, so in this case, we're not looking for volume, we're looking for x, and x is the length of a side. And because it's a length of the side and not volume, it's going to just be a single unit.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Guys, give this one your best go. Just try your best, see how it goes. Don't panic. Think about what shape they've given you. Think about what that means. And then on Thursday, we're going to look at these same shapes, but we're going to look at the surface area of them. Hey. Tando, how can I help, or do you have my answer?
Ma'am, I have the answer, ma'am.
Okay, tell me what I should write here.
Ma'am, so I cube rooted 216.
Okay, great. So what would my formula be for the volume of a cube? My volume is going to equal what?
Side cubed.
Beautiful. Okay, cool. So my volume is 216. And
Yes,
that's equal to side cubed. Okay, so what did you do from here?
From there, ma'am, I switched the sides around, and then I cubed. Cube rooted s cubed to get the s alone, and then I cube rooted 216 centimeters cubed to get 6 centimeters.
Perfect.
Cubed.
Okay, so we are going to cube root both sides because the one is being cubed. And so we're going to see that our S is going to equal 6 centimeters. Perfect. Well done. So I think what some people would have done here is they would have divided by 3 instead of cube rooting. But just be careful on your calculator. You want to push shift, and then you want to push this button over here, which is the square root button. Because if you look just above the square root button, you'll see that there's a little 3 for the cube root. Okay, and that's the one we want. So you're going to push shift, and then you're going to push the square root button, and you're going to see that you have a cube root over there. And then inside there, you can just write 216, and then you can push equals, and you'll see your answer is 6. Okay. This question comes up very, very, very often because they know people panic with the cube. So just be careful with this one. Sure. So when we're dealing with our volume of a cube, okay, because they've told us it's a cube, it means all of our sides are the same as each other. So it's the same as saying side times side times side, which is side cubed. And so we can say our volume is equal to our side cubed. They've told us our volume is 216. So we're saying 216 is side cubed. And then we're just going to cube root both sides. Oh, no, my Y calculator is just somewhere else. So I think it's in my other room. I don't know where. I think like I have like too many calculators. I don't know what to do with them. So our final answer there is 6 centimeters. Our side is 6 centimeters, and we should probably, because they've asked us for X, we should actually probably end this by saying X is equal to 6 centimeters, just to make it more formal.